The Spaceballs episode of Implicit Bias. In other words, we ain't found. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon, and it is time to solve the problems of the world one weekly whiskey at a time. This is Implicit Bias Radio. And the reality is we've actually found a lot on this show. We've actually been ahead of the times. Just look at our Instagram and you'll see us talking about the fraud in government through foreign aid, and that's blowing up. We happened to record that, though, a week before the USAID was taken down. We found a lot on the Russian collusion case. We even had a ton of information that's now coming out about January 6th and the FBI's not so pristine involvement. But the reality is, we ain't found, that. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is we had no idea, no inkling, not even the slightest hint of just how bad it really, really is. See, I guess you actually have to be looking for certain things to find them. The concept of seeking in order to find is actually a recurrent theme and a very powerful metaphor for our journey of life, faith, and discovery. See, the idea that one must actively seek to find is deeply rooted in various passages of that great book, the Bible. The principle underscores the importance of actively engaging in the pursuit of truth, wisdom, and divine connection. It's a call to diligence, to intentionality, to perseverance, reflecting on the belief that the rewards of spiritual and personal growth are accessible to those who earnestly quest for them. Now, one of the most cited verses encapsulating this principle is found in the Gospel of Matthew, 7:7-8. Jesus teaches, "Ask, and it will be given unto you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened unto you. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds, and the one who knocks the door will be opened." Unfortunately, this is a problem for some people. Many people, actually. And if that's you, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, because we're trying to help, it's probably only going to get worse. See, the people who are upset about the exposure of so many things in the spotlight right now, US dollars paid to media to run anti-US stories, US dollars paid to create division in our own country, US dollars paid to keep us, you and me, fighting. The people who refuse to see these things and instead are just crying about the upset of the apple cart of the status quo, it's time for those people to learn, unfortunately, the hard way. It's not going to be fun for them. It's not going to be pretty either. Once we recognize that we must seek to find, we realize that God's blessings and truths are available to those who actively seek them. The triad of actions, asking, seeking, and knocking represents progressive levels of effort and management and engagement, suggesting that deeper revelations and rewards require more earnest and persistent pursuit. Seeking, as described in the Bible, is not passive activity. It involves a proactive and continuous effort to discover and understand divine will and truth. Proverbs 8:17 reinforces this idea. "I love those who love me, and those who seek me find me." Here, wisdom personified speaks of a mutual relationship between the seeker and the sought. The verse implies that the search itself is a demonstration of love and commitment, and it assures that such a pursuit will be fruitful. There are numerous examples of individuals who exemplified this principle of seeking and finding. One notable figure is obviously King David, who in Psalm 27:4 expresses a deep longing to seek the Lord. David's life, good and bad, is a testament to the transformative power of earnest seeking. The story of the Magi, or the wise men who followed the star to seek the newborn King of the Jews, their journey was marked by dedication and reverence, and their ultimate finding of Jesus was not only a fulfillment of prophecy, but also a reward for their diligent search. The principle of seeking to find carries both spiritual and practical implications for believers and individuals alike. Spiritually, It encourages a deeper relationship with God, urging believers to continually seek his presence, guidance, and wisdom. This quest fosters growth, understanding, and a more profound faith experience. Practically, this principle can be applied to various aspects of our lives. It advocates for intentionality and perseverance in the pursuit of goals, knowledge, and personal development. Whatever we do, we must seek truth. It's essential for achieving meaningful and lasting outcomes. Integral to the process of seeking is the role of faith and patience. Faith acts as the foundation and driving force behind the search, providing the assurance that the effort invested actually will yield divine rewards. Furthermore, patience is crucial as the fulfillment of seeking may not always be immediate. Many times the journey itself is valuable and transformative. In short, you'll never find happiness if you're not looking for it. By the same token, you'll never find corruption, lasciviousness, theft, greed, waste if we're not looking for those either. But if you stick here, if you hang around, what you'll find are four, well, maybe three relatively honest people. You'll find a few, maybe more, weekly whiskeys. You'll find that we don't want us to be trusted. We want you to seek out what we mentioned for yourself. You'll find 2 hours of just what you're looking for. You'll find your implicit bias. Implicit Bias Radio continues right after this. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. We've got a great crew here in the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast layer. That's the Mr. Lester's TSPL for the uninitiated. Yeah, Caleb, I know. I do the hand gesture all the time.
I was counting too. I was like, okay.
Yeah. That is Caleb Morsey, is the Rustic Renegade. It's great to have you back here on the show with actually us doing a show together.
It's nice to be in the same room at the same time.
It is, because I had travel twice during the week of January, so we changed.
January, but yeah.
No, dear God, it went by so fast it felt like a week.
Yeah.
But literally did a couple of episodes off schedule. Then you were out for a week. You went to SHOT Show, saw some of the latest, greatest stuff as far as the stuff that you do.
Yeah, all the stuff in the firearm, the tactical world, everything else, and tried to kind of get the finger on the pulse for 2025. And I can tell you, it's like 130 beats per minute.
It has been absolutely rolling. Speaking of absolutely rolling, we've got two people who have definitely never sat at the bar in the Mr. Lester's TSPL together. One has never sat there before. So let's start by introducing you to the crew that's there. On the left side of your screen, she is the real deal, Kathleen Theriault. Oh, y'all were trying to guess who was going to get the microphone first? Is that what you were doing?
I thought you were going to talk about him first because you did last time, so I just was giving it to him. I was being polite.
Well, we're trying to be polite to you.
Okay, well, thank you.
Because ladies should go first.
And I haven't been here in a while.
We're going to introduce you first. And yeah, it's been a while.
Hello. I'm back.
This is an audible medium, which means you have to talk. I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying. It's been such a long time. The more I think about this, were you here when we actually had the full bar and we had the Mr. Lester sign behind you and the advances that we have made in the Mr. Lester's TSPL?
So I've been at the bar, but I haven't been on a show where y'all recorded as well.
You haven't been on, this is your first time on video.
Yes. Because I think that the first video, or maybe it was like the second video we're going to do, I think you forgot to text them.
Yes. Scheduling snafu. And for those who understand what that means, situation normal. If you know, you know. Yeah. All right. The other person at the bar, he is the executive chef of Mr. Lester Steakhouse. He is the food and beverage manager at Cypress Bayou Casino. It is a pleasure to have the culinary genius, Chef Willie, on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Chef, so I got to ask, now that this is going to be full episode, you've had a chance to sit in the bar here in the Mr. Lester's TSPL. What do you think?
It's nice.
He's turning into Sam. Rest in peace.
It's been a long...
For those who know. Yeah, Sam, so for those who don't know, let me explain this real quick, Chef. Sam used to be our producer.
Right.
He's actually not dead. He's just dead to us. So whenever we say Sam, we say rest in peace. Sam, we love you. We know you're having a great time in Austin. We hope things are going well, but rest in peace. All right, Chef, sorry. So what do you think?
It's really great. I like it. I couldn't tell you the last time I was at a bar and I wasn't working.
Oh, there you go.
I
There
can
you go.
only imagine.
Caleb, you were contemplating
Yeah,
something
I'm
there.
sitting here trying to figure out like what to call him. You know, like I was like the curator of yummy, the sultan of savory. Like, what do we call you?
I like the Sultan of Savory.
Like that's what I was trying to figure one out. You know,
I like
I
it.
like the Sultan of Savory.
I could do that.
Or
like
okay, we there. I mean, there's got to be some others we could come up with.
Gravy Daddy.
I like Gravy Daddy, and that just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
We can have so much fun with that.
Does he not have a nickname at all yet?
No,
No, it just dawned on me. That's why I'm sitting there. I'm like trying to see. And
Okay,
like
Gravy
5
Daddy
letters
it
are left.
is.
Yeah,
That's the first thing that comes to your mind is gravy daddy.
no,
And
That's
out of all the
that's-
things he cooks, it's gravy.
that wasn't the first thing, but that was one of the best things.
Oh, look, we could go with the Mage of I mean, there's all
Ooh,
kinds
yeah,
of
yeah.
stuff we could do. There's all kinds of stuff. We're gonna let it come about organically.
Are you just jealous because you can't be the Gravy Daddy?
I was caught off guard when that's what came out your mouth.
Now, speaking of which, if you know, you know, and I'm sorry that you had to see Walker Griffon. Walker, our producer, is now with his own camera here on Implicit Bias. We have gone months since we started. We started what, October, I believe? Actually, no, we started like July of last year, August of last year.
Yeah.
When we started doing video episodes. We really got going, I think, September, so that we were good to go. I think September was actually the beginning.
That's when we knew what we were doing.
So we've gone, well, that whole thing is debatable that we know what we're doing with anything. But literally, so we went September, October, November, December, January. Now we're into February. So in month 6, you actually get to see Walker. And I'm sorry. So that being said, let's talk about our weekly whiskey, where yes, Walker's going to get to contribute. And let's dive into this Wilderness Trail offering. This is a pick at New News Market in Youngsville, Scott Milton, Maurice, Louisiana, one of our weekly whiskey sponsors here on the show. So you can only get this specific bottle of Wilderness Trail at New News. Now, that being said, it speaks a lot to what you can get from Wilderness Trail. And I'm going to be very upfront before we go to the bar and ask for your review of this. I was not excited because I've had Wilderness Trail before and it was good, but it wasn't anything that made my palate party, if you know what I mean. It wasn't anything. Oh, you like the alliteration right there, Kathleen. I can see it in the laugh as you're about to push whiskey through your nose. Anyway, there was nothing there that made me just go, man, this is really good stuff. So that being said, let's start at the bar. Chef, you've got the microphone pointed at you, so let's go ahead and start with your thoughts on this before we get the full Monty on it from Caleb.
I've never had Wilderness Trail either. I like it.
Chef, can you eat that microphone
Sure.
for me? Thank you.
Absolutely. We need some gravy on it, though.
Yeah. Maybe the Gravy Daddy got something for it.
I like it. It's smooth. I taste a lot of caramel.
Okay.
That's what I get from it. I'm not a big bourbon guy like you guys.
Well, you don't have to be. Just, I mean, do you like it? Do you not
I
like it?
like it. It's good. I'm a wine guy, but I would drink this.
Well, you didn't bring us any wine.
There's
I mean-
probably some in the truck somewhere.
Long as it's not open in the truck, you're all
No,
right in
I'm good.
Louisiana.
It's hidden. It finishes well. Like it's not strong.
Okay.
Like, smooth.
You did also say that you didn't believe this drank as high as the proof. And we'll talk about the proof and what it is in a minute. So you think this actually sits well on the palate. To your
Yeah.
point, not a lot of burn, not overly aggressive.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you there. This is one. I love the color on this. This deep, I mean, this goes beyond like a deep amber or caramel. This almost gets to dark brown or black. Like this is almost charred oak color. It's so deep. And I love that look on the glass. So, okay, so let's go to Kathleen. Kathleen, what are you thinking?
Okay, so it's been a while since I've had whiskey because I went 9 months sober and then trying to,
I love the way she says that.
And now
like,
you're relapsing.
yeah. I'm
and then I
like,
tried the not drinking while, all
I'm
that
waiting for
good
her to
stuff.
come give me a coin or something like that. And look, trust me, we are not making fun of anybody who has issues there, right? We want this to be a hobby, not a habit.
Yes.
But if we can't laugh at ourselves, which we attempt to do all the time, we can't laugh at anyone. Which means if we can laugh at ourselves, which we do all the time, we get to laugh at you too. Okay, Kathleen, sorry.
No, and I've been actually drinking more wine lately. So, but this is really good. I was shocked when you told me the proof. I thought it was way less because of how well it drinks.
So I think this is a huge testament as to how smooth
Because I do not like proof that high.
and drinkable this is. Because to your
Yes.
point, number one, you don't like high proof stuff.
No,
Number two, you haven't had high proof stuff for a while.
a while.
And when you haven't had high proof and you don't get accustomed to it, you kind of lose some of that tolerance to be able to handle it on the palate.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can drink this, it is easy to drink, it is easy to consume. That makes it a really, really nice offering, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm really impressed. I definitely get the caramel. I get a little pecan.
Yeah, I can see that.
I get a little pecan. But man, it is smooth.
I go past pecan now that you say that. I go full pecan pie on this.
Okay.
Like this is the filling, that
can see
brown
that.
sugar, caramel. Chef, you know what's in a pecan pie. I have no idea what's in a pecan pie. I just know that I don't like pecans a whole bunch, but I will eat a bite of it here or there because my wife loves it. And when she wants it, I'm going to order it for her.
I eat anything with pecans that's like covered, or I don't eat just plain pecans.
Okay. So if it's covered in chocolate and caramel and sugar
Correct.
and all that
or in a
stuff.
pie.
Okay. So you have a little pecan with your candy is what you're telling me.
Correct.
That- and that works. That's fine.
Yes.
That's
Only way
fine.
to eat them.
But honestly, I agree with you when you say I get pecan on this.
Yeah.
I get that on this palate. Yep.
It's really good, really smooth.
Okay.
Impressed. Good one for me to come back on.
So now let's go to the one that I kind of am worried about going to. And no, it's not Caleb. It's actually Walker. Because Walker is now on camera. Walker? Oh, dear God.
He did the wave.
I love that he's on camera.
Who are you, Napoleon Dynamite? It's like, dear God.
No, because Caleb, every time I wasn't on camera and I'd go like talk, Caleb would do the wave for me. So
Yeah.
I might as well get on and do the wave.
You still look like Napoleon Dynamite. All right, what do you think about this particular whiskey, this Wilderness Trail Private Barrel Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey from New News Market?
I enjoy this one a lot. You said it's 117 proof.
Yeah.
Really doesn't drink like it
You
whatsoever.
spoiled that. That's okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
because we were holding on to that. That's all right. But no, yes, 117.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't drink like that. This is something I could definitely have some fun with.
So when you say have some fun with, I mean, you say the way you said that
Yeah, that
almost
was
sounded
a little,
almost sounded offensive to your girlfrind. That's all I'm saying.
It's not what it was supposed to
It
mean.
made
Wow.
me feel uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah, gravy daddy.
All right, so Walker, you like it. What do you like about it?
The flavor, I like that it doesn't hit overly hard. Pause.
Was that for effect?
Nothing. I'll edit that out. But
No, you won't. You're leaving that. You are absolutely leaving your incompetence and your lack of talent on the recording. I'm kidding. I'm just picking.
Oh, that was
Only kind of. Anyway, go ahead.
no, doesn't. Like I said, it drinks way softer than what the proof is. So that's why I enjoy it.
Okay. No, look, I agree with you. It does not drink at 117. But in a way, I'm going to disagree with you also. And I'll explain that in a minute when you come back to me. So, all right. We know that this is going to taste like the burnt sugar on his grandma's stove when he was 7 years old and burnt off the hair on his right arm, not the hair on his left arm, the hair on his right arm, and spilled the sugar container onto the open stove that happened to be hot. Now, go ahead, Caleb.
Well, let me line through these. So something I think that we should note is on the bottle, because New News has more than one barrel pick.
Yes,
And
that's a great call out.
This one is DSP, Delta Sierra Papa, KY, Kentucky. yeah. Kilo Yankee, 20005. That's the label they have on it.
But hold on. That's actually going to be the same on both of them, Caleb.
Is it?
You know why?
Yeah, it sure
Because
is.
that's their distiller number. That's not the barrel number.
Yeah. So yeah, if you look on the side of it,
There we go.
just easiest one to see is yeast strain 927. The other one is very different.
Why don't you just go by the proof? Because the proof on this one is different from the proof
close
on that
enough.
one.
They're close enough. That's like 115.
What's the proof on that one, Kathleen?
This one's 112.8.
112.
Yeah, so
This one's
117.
117. This is the 117.
Yeah. So on the nose,
Let's make it easy.
it's a rye. Like so, there's barley, corn and rye in this mash, and you get rye on the nose, heavy rye.
I agree.
Then I get like a black pepper spice on the nose, and then roasted apples. You ever gone to like a Renfest or anything else, and they would do these candied roasted apples, and you would slice them?
Yeah.
That's what I get on the nose, not on the palate, on the nose. It smells just amazing. I sat here and nose humped the glass for like 5 minutes before I sipped it.
Oh, first offering of the word nose hump in 2025, which I love because we haven't used it enough.
And then on the palate, I get cracked black pepper, a little bit of black licorice, and that dark clove honey.
Yeah.
Like locally grown, locally harvested dark clove honey, where it's unfiltered raw and it's just like thick, dark, and nasty.
Chef thinks you're crazy.
Thick, dark, and
Chef has
Then-
this look on his face. Oh no, Kathleen. Yeah.
I do smell the apple now.
Just
though.
because we have to call it out. Kathleen, what did you call out that Caleb said about this again?
thick, dark, and nasty.
Pretty much. Anyway.
Okay, yeah.
So
And then like the flavor, you get the viscosity that you would from a really good steak. Whenever you render the fat down, that little fat stripe on the side of a ribeye, and you get that buttery fat where it just like melts when you bite into it, I get like that kind of smoothness on this. It is just impeccable.
go ahead, call him on it, Chef. You can say it. Walker will edit it.
Put some gravy on that.
Well, you don't have to edit that out. Okay.
Yeah.
Are we done, or do we still have like another 6 months of
No.
dissertation? on this?
I could go further, but I've already had 2 glasses, and then there has to be a third.
Here's what I really like about this one. Yes, you get that rye spice on the front. I get the spicy, and this is why I'm going to agree to disagree on how smooth it drinks. I think you get just enough aggression on this. And if you drink whiskey at all, you kind of know that this has got some proof to it.
You can tell. Like
But
it's not.
But it's not kicking you in the jimmy every single time you sip it and making you hurt. You sip it and you enjoy it. It is just enough that the bite is offset by the sweetness. It is balanced really, really well. Kathleen?
I like it because it has the flavor where, because I typically like more of a 90 proof,
Yeah.
and sometimes it can be a little bland. I thought this was a lower proof, but it's got so much flavor to it that I knew it was higher, but it doesn't drink like a higher, if that makes
Agreed.
sense.
So yes, you know it's a higher proof, but you also don't get that on the sip, which I love. I get big caramel, I get pecan, I get the dark clove honey. I understand that on the palate with this. What I know is this. Congratulations. So Francisco Montalbano is the liquor manager at Nunu's. I know he had a hand in picking this. That dude is straight up fire because
He did a
he has
phenomenal
picked
job.
multiple barrels, and everything that comes across that palate has been absolutely fantastic. Francisco, cheers to you. Shout out to you. Shout out to Nunu's, and shout out to Wilderness Trail, because the stuff that I had from you before, and I kind of alluded to this, I was like,
Leaps and bounds.
it's good. It's not great. I don't know that it's going to make me come back. This will make me come back to Wilderness Trail and go, oh, I got to try that, especially if it's one of their higher proof offerings. It's really, 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 really good.
I think that Chef Willie needs to do a Wilderness Trail pairing with like braised duck
Oh, no.
or
I'm going to tell you what I'm going to ask Chef Willie to do. And we're going to find one of
really?
these. Chef, here's what we need. We need a flan with a bourbon caramel sauce. Nothing else. We don't need fruit in it. We don't need it. Just a delicious custard done with a bourbon caramel sauce, something like this that offsets it, that gives it just a little.
I could do that.
I know you could do it. That's why I brought it up.
We're not going to call it sauce. We're going to call it gravy.
yeah,
A bourbon caramel gravy. The gravy. He's really embracing this gravy daddy thing over there. That's all I know. All right.
Run with it.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to rate this on the Morse Whiskey rating code. And when we come back after the break, we are then going to play What Would You Pay? For the box drop, What Would You Pay championship belt. So Walker, we're going to start with you. Where do you rate this on the Morse whiskey rating code? Is it a red? Wouldn't drink it even if it was free. Is it a yellow? Would drink it only if it was free. Is it a green? You would buy it. Or is it a blue? You would seek it out.
Definite blue.
Definite blue. High ranking. Well done. All right, let's go to the bar. Kathleen, the microphone's pointed at you, so we'll start that way. Where do you rate this?
I'm going to give it a blue.
A blue. So 2 blues out of 5. We only need 1 more to make it a split decision, but can it go unanimous? Chef, we're going to spin that mic around and see what you think.
I go blue.
Oh, you go blue. You like this one. You would
like
go
it.
seek this out.
Absolutely.
I agree with you, especially knowing that once this offering is gone, it's Kaiser Soze.
Right.
It's going to disappear. You'll never see it again. All right, Caleb.
All right, so you're a blue, is what you're saying?
I didn't say that.
You said you agreed with him.
I said, let's see if it goes unanimous.
Oh.
You did say that.
In the words that I used last recording, this is a motherfucking blue.
I'm going to go ahead and fill that in because Walker did a really nice job of editing the Rustic
pointed.
Renegade in the moment.
I gave him a heads up.
I give Walker kudos when it's necessary. He deserved it there. Well done, Walker. A blue from Caleb, and yeah, it's a blue for me. This is a unanimous blue. If you get the opportunity to get it, please go pick it up, go find it. Trust me, you want one. We're going to wrap this segment. We're going to come back. We're going to do the What Would You Pay Championship Belt Chain and start solving the problems of the world. Oh, probably 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 weekly whiskeys at a time on Implicit Bias Radio. Solving the problems of the world, 1 or on this episode, 3 or 4 or 10 weekly whiskeys at a time. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. This is Implicit Bias Radio. And let me tell you, we've got a great crew for you here in the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast lair. Let me start at the bar. I'm just going to move and walk by. They can actually wave as we do a drive-by introduction. In the white jacket, he is the executive chef at Mr. Lester Steakhouse at Cypress Bayou Casino, food and beverage manager as well, Chef Willie Gaspard. Chef, you can just wave and say hi. No need to talk. I don't want to hear from you. And then there's Kathleen Theriault, the real deal right next to him. See, Kathleen understands the instructions. And then, of course, in the chair like mine, he is the Rustic Renegade Caleb Morse. And I'm sorry, but we've also got Walker on camera. So don't wave, Walker. God, he did it again. You know what? Napoleon Dynamite, you can just keep waving. All right, so let's dive into solving the problems of the world, 1 weekly whiskey at a time. Now we can talk. I wanted to get through that quickly because we've got to get some things done. The first thing we have to do is we actually have to play What Would You Pay for the What Would You Pay Championship Belt Chain presented by Box Drop. Now, we're playing What Would You Pay for this. I believe it's 5.5 years old, Caleb. Is that the age statement on the side of this one?
5 years, 4 months.
5 years, 4 months. Okay, so I'm pretty close. 5 years, 4 months in the barrel. An absolute blue. Some of this will go into Deep Blue, the Implicit Bias Infinity bottle, which you see on the bar, because it is high enough proof and it is rated as a blue. But the question is, what would you pay? Walker, what would you pay for what's in this bottle?
65.
$65. Oh, Caleb seems upset. Don't care. All right, let's go to the bar. Kathleen, the microphone's pointed at you. Where would you start?
$87.
$87. Wow, that is high esteem from Miss Kathleen, the real deal Theriault. Chef, not wholesale. I know you get all your stuff like dirt cheap because you're buying it wholesale.
Right. But
Yeah.
I would have went higher than them. 117.
1 cent. Wow. So you're going $1 per proof point. I can't believe I actually got that out with a tumbling all over myself
Good job,
verbally.
though.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, Caleb, where do you go?
So before Walker opened his gullet, $67.82 is what I wrote.
$67.82. So, okay. We may have to adjust some rules specifically for this episode for one reason. Because this is a $69.99 bottle of whiskey, which means that the winner is Caleb Morse. But Caleb Morse is recovering from surgery, which a lot of people don't know.
Oh, that's a valid point. I don't know if I can wear
And
this.
I don't know if you can actually put that over your neck. Because the What Would You Pay Championship Belt Chain by Box Drop weighs about 297 pounds.
You have a.
Right?
It'll hang right on my wounds too.
Yes,
You have a valid
I know it would, and that's why I'm like,
I will
I don't
concede.
know.
I will.
Okay, Walker wins. $65 goes to Walker, and we're going to pawn this across to Walker. The
I can't
Box
pass
Drop.
it very far.
Oh, come on, you can't reach.
No, I can't pull it out very far.
I got it. There you go. Caleb passes it over to Walker. Walker's going to wear the What Would You Pay Championship Belt Chain, and actually we get to watch him. So, fun game. You should play, if you're watching out there on Insta, on Facebook, on X, on YouTube, you should play the over-under on when Walker wants to cave and take it off. Because the What Would You Pay Championship belt chain presented by Box Drop is not light. I'm just saying. Okay, so let's dive into the problems of the world that we are solving one weekly whiskey at a time.
Can I ask real quick?
Yeah.
Can you explain this that's sitting in front of me?
Oh, the infinity bottle. Okay, so an
Deep
infinity bottle.
blue.
Now, not everybody has an infinity bottle.
Do you know what
And-
an infinity bottle is?
Well, that's where
Well,
I'm.
no, that's why I'm asking.
that's what I'm about to
I mean,
explain.
it's sitting
Yeah.
right in front of me, so I was going to ask to try it, but I don't know what it is.
So an infinity bottle is a bottle that you keep where you blend the best stuff you have, the little leftovers that don't make up a full pour. It's not enough, and you keep adding to it. So, for example, the wife and I, she actually gave me one as a present, and it's beautiful. It's exactly like that. It is the Waterford lead-free crystal, came from William S. Nacall Jewelers, just like that one. And what my wife did that made it really special was we were given a decanter for our wedding, and it had the silver nameplate to be engraved on that decanter. She took it to Nacall's, had him engrave it. So we have that with our last name on it. It's the Bordelons, right, infinity bottle. And we take the ones that we find are special and we blend them in there. So that, why we call it deep blue is because in order for a bottle to get into that, our infinity bottle, it has to be rated a blue. And it has to be higher proof. It's got to be over 100.
So when are you going to drink that? Or when do you try that?
Well, we take sips out of it on special occasions.
Oh, okay.
So, for example, when we did our live show for the 2024 election, special occasion, everybody gets a pour.
Ah, okay.
So the bottle never runs out, which is the really cool thing. That's why it's
An
called
infinity bottle. Ah,
2
I
plus
got it.
2
I-
plus
I
2,
got it.
right? You got it,
I got it.
right? You're not on Common Core math. You actually can do math. I love it.
I got it.
All
Cool.
right.
Okay, thanks.
So that is the infinity bottle. Walker's got the What Would You Pay Championship belt chain presented by Box Drop. And we are going to dive into the stories. And here's, let's face it, it's the big one. And between the time that we record this show and when this show airs, there's going to be more. There's not a lot of planks that I will walk out on and attempt to predict the future. But the fact that we have seen what we have seen exposed by this administration with regards to government spending, I'm willing to walk out on the very tip of that diving board and say, I think there's going to be a lot more coming. I think there's going to be so much more.
Well, we're what, 10 days, 2 weeks in. And
Dear Lord. I mean, when you think, it's just that short and it feels like it's been a year.
we're what, 2 billion saved? 2 billion cut?
I given the last couple of days, it might even be more than that. Kathleen?
I thought it said 40 billion. That article that you sent us.
Oh,
Oh, there's
I should read those.
there's all kinds of numbers. I think what Caleb was looking at was what Elon Musk was referencing. And,
Oh.
hey, we
Everything
have
else.
already trimmed
Yeah.
this
Oh, okay,
much
yeah.
off the budget. And now all of a sudden, we are getting exposure on everything that the last president was doing. And trust me, you don't want him to expose himself.
It's more than
Then again,
just,
maybe he's done it a few times already.
It's more
Anyway,
than
Caleb.
just the last president, too, because a lot of this stuff
It
is
is.
systemic, right? And you get in there and they try to undo things, they try to change things, and other people try to feed into the system because it goes back to whenever the election was going and there was, I don't remember the number, we'll call it 12, I think it was like $12 billion or something. Might have been $2 billion, I don't remember. It was a bubba. spent on the election, presidential, Congress, Senate, whenever their income is like altogether $3 million.
I think what you had, the
So-
number, because you pulled the number
I had
during the night of the election, I think it was 15 billion.
That
If
might
I
have
remember
been it,
right.
yeah.
It was a big,
it was something astronomical
number.
and it was like 1,000% more than the income of these individuals during their whole tenure.
here's the one, and we're going to have to kind of dissect some of these things in chunks because it's moving so fast. We're losing some of the really important stuff. Here's a big one. We are now finding out that people who were saying that Anthony Fauci funded the creation of COVID-19. Y'all have a bell up there on the bar. You should have a bell. Ring the out of that bell. Ring it again. And yes, the conspiracy theorists were right.
Was it 19 million?
Oh, it was way more than that. The NIH, which was run by Fauci, we now have, and please, whatever you do, please don't believe us on this. Go look this up. Because the sourcing that we have is as good as we can get. And we might be wrong. I'm not going to say that we're 100% right. But what I'm going to say is we've looked at this sourcing pretty well, and it appears to be good. The NIH, which was run by Fauci, was funding a company called EcoHealth. EcoHealth was directly funding the guy who just so happened to be doing bat coronavirus research in a lab in Wuhan, China.
China.
Yes, China. Yeah, absolutely. Also, the WHO was funding him, which was also funded by Anthony Fauci.
How do we get on this bandwagon? Like, why aren't they funding us?
Well,
We
that's
can make a difference.
you know what? We're okay. You're starting to tease where we're going to go an hour two because we've got enough time. But we have made predictions on this show, and I feel bad because we don't like to say, "I told you so." But unfortunately, the more we see, the more we're having to say, "This was out there. You could find this. This was available. This was ready." We're going to talk more about the media being funded later in the show. Because that also, right? How do you get on this loop? We get to talk about this because we weren't. And that's kind of obvious because we don't have 400 million followers. But that's okay. One day, the entire planet of Uranus will be following us, and that'll be fine. All right, so let's go to the
I
bar.
like what you did there.
I figured you would. My wife's going to be upset with me again. Anyway, let's go to the bar. I'm curious about your initial reactions to what we have seen so far with regards to government spending and all the stuff that you, our listener, us here in the Mr. Lester's Top Secret Podcast lair, even Walker, because Walker works his tail off, we all been paying for. What do y'all think?
Go?
Well, Kathleen, the mic's pointed at you.
Okay. Well, I didn't even know that this USAID even existed until
A lot of people didn't.
I didn't know.
But it's not the only portion of the government funding a lot of this stuff.
But some of this stuff, Sesame Street for
Oh,
Iraq
the 20 million for Sesame
Yeah.
Street in Iraq.
or pottery classes.
Yeah. I mean, look.
I just what is $2 million for pottery classes?
Hold on. Have you ever seen Ghost?
Oh my
Patrick
god!
going
Swayze.
there. I knew he was
Yes.
going
Like,
there.
I've wanted that. Not to be dead, but I've wanted that moment where I sit there and my wife and I do pottery. And
Yeah,
then
but
it
$2
leads
million.
to
What are you making for $2 million? That better be a
a nice vase.
dang good vase. Really, that's what you're making? Okay.
Anyway, all right.
Anyway,
But yeah, when you look at some of the little things, and this is the sad part, $20 million for what these people have been doling out, it's
That's a
little
drop in the bucket.
thing.
correct.
That's almost nothing. It's a rounding error for this budget.
And look,
That's insane.
it's not Iraqi Sesame Street.
What is it then?
Alan Simsim.
Oh my god.
It's Iraqi Sesame Street.
Yeah, it's Iraqi Sesame.
I was
It's-
thinking about the sex changes in Guatemala.
It's
Well,
age
and that's
appropriate.
just yeah. I mean,
Age appropriate sock puppets for Middle Easters. And then we have condom education, which is very
Yeah,
important.
well, there's another one.
Because of it was 50 million on educating people
So-
how to use
so
condoms.
let's-
and now we have condom born IEDs, which are a separate thing.
Oh, I don't even want to think about that. Chef, let's bring you
Sorry.
in. I'm just curious
I
as to your
digress.
thoughts on this, Chef.
I don't understand why we have to help everyone. No one helps us, and most countries don't even like us.
This is true.
I've been around the world, and they don't really like us. So why do we help them? If I don't like someone, I don't help them.
So
You know?
I love the question because it allows us to discuss the argument about why the 5-year-olds who are in the corner crying about this are upset. Because the politicians will tell you this was the money that we used internationally to promote American values.
They still don't like us.
No.
Number one, they still don't like us. Number two, so what you're telling me is this is the CIA slush fund. Because let's talk about what USAID really is. It is not U.S. aid.
No.
Not at all. It is the U.S. agency for, and I love this ambiguous term, international development. So what you're telling me is that when you think about everybody who's involved in CIA work, they got to get paid. How does the CIA leverage people? It's one of two ways, either the carrot or the stick. And I'm going to give Walker the stick in a minute because he just gave me the finger from the corner and it's the 1 minute finger and we don't have enough time to get into this. Walker. All right. We'll come back. We'll round out hour 1 of Implicit Bias Radio. Hour 2 is always more fun. And we will dive into how intelligence uses the stick or the carrot and how that might be tied in to the USAID scandal on this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio. Just a few minutes left in hour 1 of Implicit Bias Radio for this week. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. We're playing musical chairs in the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast lair, the TSPL for the uninitiated, and we are wrapping up a really fun conversation. I'm going to introduce you to everybody here in the TSPL in just a minute, but we got to complete a thought from the last segment. So the conversation was centered around the United States Agency for International Development. And the question was, well, why are so many people saying that this is the CIA's slush fund? Well, look, I'm sure there was some money paid out of the $20 million for Iraqi Sesame Street or the $6 million for sex change surgeries in Guatemala or the $42 million paid out for the study of how ballpoint pens affect the LGBTQ community in Botswana. I mean, I'm sure some of the money actually went to those things. But all of those resources that the CIA uses internationally, they have to get paid. And they can't just come from the CIA. Because if they did, well, it's a sure way to know that that person works for the CIA. So let me tell you a little story about a book called Chaos. It was a really fun conversation, great book. It's actually written about the Manson murders in 1969 in California. Well, what the author found out was that the research fellow who was running the Haight-Ashbury Free Medical Clinic was running it off of a grant from the U.S. government. And his handler, the person who was his contact person on how he was going to get paid, anybody want to take a guess who that person worked for? Anybody?
Wait, was that wasn't Hunter Biden, huh?
No. We're talking 1969.
Oh, 1969. Woo,
Yeah,
missed that one.
Yeah. It's okay.
That's I switched shares.
Yeah. No. What organization, Caleb? You got to remember, Caleb, you got to put the microphone. What organization did the person who was running, and how did they get paid? How did they get set up? Where did they get the money from to run the Haight-Ashbury Free Medical Clinic?
Would it be funneled through the CIA?
So the CIA was the person who was the point of contact.
Yeah.
The money came through a federal grant somewhere else in the U.S. government.
Well, that'd be the USAID, I'm sure.
I'm not sure that payment came directly from the USAID. That I don't know. But what I know is that there were professors who were getting paid grants and reporting to the CIA. There were fellows, like these people who were, I'm a political fellow from Hopkins University. No, you're a CIA agent. That's what you're doing. You're reporting
Not
to a
an
handle.
agent, an operative. There's a difference.
Right? And the fun part is the people who work for the CIA even have aliases, and this is how they create the spider web. So if you've been on social media and you have seen these spider webs of money came from USAID to this entity pays that entity pays this entity, they funnel it through a bunch of different entities in order to disguise the true root source of the funding. There's a legal term for that. And I believe it's used by the IRS.
Well, it's also used in the clothing industry because you take your clothes to a laundromat
Correct.
to do the laundry.
This is the little secret that nobody wants to talk about right now. Because it's all about funneling money, not even funneling money, because a funnel just brings it to one central point. This is about creating a sieve for money. So you sift it through one layer, then you sift it through another, then you sift it through a third, a fourth, and a fifth, and you never really know where the money comes from. But trust me, there are people with their fingers on it. And this is why we are now getting emails and we are hearing about things like, and again, veracity of this, sometimes we have to pause, but celebrities getting paid to make appearances, right? It's all being sieved or laundered through different organizations.
Beyonce, that's just not true.
Well, we know Beyonce got paid because that apparently came direct from the campaign. I mean, let's face it. You and I both know that Cackles McCackleberry over there wouldn't be smart enough to actually launder it. She just thinks she's not going to get caught.
But there's ways to hide it. And look, can we call it money like colandering?
Colandering. Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to use that term properly right now.
Yeah, it's like draining money. That's basically what it is. And that's the little secret. That's the one thing as we look through all of this and the lens that we have to learn and adopt. We have to adopt that lens of, okay, so the stuff that's blatant, that's easy to see. What are they funneling from one organization to another, to another, to another? Because that's where it gets really interesting.
So I have a question.
Sure.
And just because I'm not always up to date with everything. Did this all just start 4 years ago when Biden came in, or what? How did Trump not see this the first time?
So it's a fantastic question, number one.
Okay.
I love the question because it is a nuance to this, and it's something that everybody has looked up and said, well, Trump should have known this the first time.
That's what I'm curious. And look, I mean,
no, and this is maybe the beauty of the situation. The beauty of the situation is this. Was this happening in Trump's first term? Hell yeah, it was happening.
Yeah.
Was this happening in Obama's first and second term? Oh, hell yeah. Was this happening in Bush's terms? Yeah. Was this happening in Clinton's term? Oh, yeah. Was this happening in... Oh, yeah. This was happening through all of them. And in hour two, because Walker, I'm going to... That finger... But in hour two, we're going to talk exactly in depth about what now the deep state really is and how even if you're the president, it's possible to hide this stuff from you. We will cover that. In order to get into that conversation, your humble host needs a heck of a lot more weekly whiskey. We'll talk about more weekly whiskeys. We'll go back to the bar. We'll get the crew involved. We're going to cut Walker out right after this on Implicit Bias Radio. Hour 2 of Implicit Bias Radio is on the air. If you have missed any of this show, please make sure you find us wherever you get podcasts. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We're on all of them. X, we're there as well. Please go follow, like, subscribe. It really helps the show and hopefully brings you more of your implicit bias. Okay, so let me reset the crew here in the Mr. Lester's Top Secret podcast lair. By the way, Mr. Lester Steakhouse, the only 5-star restaurant between New Orleans and Houston. And we're going to talk about what they had for Valentine's Day. And oh my gosh, I can't wait for you to hear it. I also can't wait for me to hear it. But Chef Willie always does great stuff. So Chef Willie is at the bar. He is the executive chef at Mr. Lester Steakhouse. As I said, the only 5-star restaurant between New Orleans and Houston. Chef, you've been here an hour.
Yes, sir.
Has this lived up to the expectation?
Absolutely. This is a
Of course,
great time.
you didn't expect much, did you?
I don't know what else I would do on is it Thursday night.
It is a Thursday night when we record the show. The bar was low. That's okay. We will take exceeding expectations no matter what. Sitting next to you, not in his normal chair, is Caleb Morse, the rustic renegade. Caleb, it's interesting to have you at the bar and see you from this perspective, because normally you're just in the chair across from me.
Do I look bigger?
No, you don't.
I was hoping that optics would play a role.
Try not to go there.
With that shirt, I'm not gonna say what you look like. Anyway, you went there, right? And you also heard the voice of Kathleen, the real deal Terrio, who is in the chair like mine. Kathleen, you a little more comfortable now?
This is a great chair. I'm glad you gave it up. I'll take it anytime, Caleb.
Okay.
Okay, that did not. Dang it.
Walker Griffon, for the first time ever, this is the first show where Walker has a camera. Walker, say hello.
Hello.
All right, so Walker,
God.
I've got to ask, knowing that you're on camera, knowing that people can see you wearing slides with socks, how is that affecting you during this show?
He doesn't have slides on.
No,
Well,
I
have
know. he
regular
doesn't.
shoes on, so
For
but
once.
I'll wear them next time just for you and the people.
I
behind the
actually
camera.
thought of that earlier. I said, "Oh, where's his Crocs?"
Yeah, where
Oh,
his
I
slides?
got an idea actually.
Oh dear God! Don't you dare come in here barefoot, because if
No.
I can only imagine how bad those hooves smell. Those cloven hooves that you have at the end of your legs must be horrific. That's all I know.
That's what, a size 13?
14. Oh yeah, 13.
Yeah,
Some of
he's
my shoes,
always-
some of my
look,
shoes are
look,
14
hey,
and some are
Jesus.
13.
Caleb, he's just used to trying to inflate the size of things. Okay?
That I was like, man, he
That's
just
all.
has to try to one up it. You know,
No, some shoes are 14, some are 13.
that's
Dang.
like saying I wear a 24 in most pants, but in these I'm a 38.
All right, so we are solving the problems of the world. We are talking about how we have to look at all of the spending through USAID and all the other different government projects and how it was being utilized and all of that great stuff. And man, the story that jumped out to me that we're going to get into in just a minute, and I'm going to give you a name. So we're going to tease you just a bit with the name, and I'm going to let you think about it. Or we're going to talk about a weekly whiskey, then we're going to come back to the name. So you can get a little verklempt. You can talk amongst yourselves about Bill Gates. Because Bill Gates is all of a sudden, for some reason, getting a little antsy. We in the Mr. Lester's Top Secret Podcast layer are not antsy. Why? Because we have weekly whiskey from Heaven Hill, the Grain to Glass series. And Chef, I heard that you are doing something virtually offensive. Like, the bourbon community might want to try and cancel you for this. Actually, no, they're going to try and cancel everybody else because of what you're doing.
I hope so.
This Heaven Hill Grain to Glass series. How much a pour did I hear you say? Because it was $15 a pour.
500 pennies.
You're going $5 a pour.
$5.
How much for the flight?
15.
Whoa. This is anywhere else. This is a $15 glass. Anywhere else. This is more than a $15 glass. Let's be honest.
It is.
This is way more than a 15. You're doing pours for $5.
$5.
The flight of all three for 15, which it's, if I remember right, a cast strength, a wheated, and the rye.
Yes, sir.
Chef. Okay. So while we sample this here in the TSPL, I'm curious as to when you're going to tell what the specials were on Valentine's Day. What were your specials?
Well, the soup is going to be, was, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're recording this before Valentine's Day, so getting tense right is a thing, right?
Wild mushroom and brie bisque.
Oh, we've had that.
Yep,
Oh, that's good stuff.
absolutely.
Yes, that's fantastic.
Then we're going to do you had these two, little mini beef Wellingtons.
Okay.
Appetizer.
Yeah, delicious.
We're going to do a sea bass dish.
Chef, are you going to make me seriously go to Mr. Lester's on Valentine's Day? Because the wife knows we're going.
Oh,
And you're
are
gonna make
going.
me you're
You
gonna
are
make me
going.
you're gonna make me
I
think
forgot you're going.
about not getting a steak.
Well,
Sea bass. I mean,
we're doing cap steak though.
Oh, cap steak.
Okay, hold on. So for those out there, our word of the day, chef,
Spinalis.
spinalis. Yes, it is a spinalis steak, which is the scientific term for just that really delicious, juicy, tender, most flavorful part of the ribeye.
All right, Caleb.
It is. No, and
tip?
that's not an
Like
exaggeration.
Just the tip. Is what it's saying.
No, it's the whole cap. It's the whole top.
So good.
Yes, it is delicious. And oh my goodness, so you're doing a spinalis.
I think you missed out on an opportunity to do like beef heart.
Well, I mean, it's
I,
possible.
like, and I don't know. Like, I don't think you can. You probably could, but for the average person, I couldn't make any heart taste as good as your meat.
Caleb just was trying to set that one up for probably 2 weeks. Yeah, probably when I told him earlier today that you were going to be on the show, Chef, he was like, oh, I got to figure out a way to say this. Okay. All right, so Chef, we've got a mushroom and brie bisque.
Yep.
We have mini beef Wellingtons.
Yep.
We have a sea bass.
Yep.
We have a spinalis steak.
Spinalis.
And what else? Because I know you're not done.
So
You never do just one
I don't know what the
thing,
dessert is.
2 or 3 things.
Because I don't know.
You don't know? Okay, so
Actually-
you haven't done the dessert yet. That's
Oh,
fine.
we have. I asked my
Delegate.
pastry chef just now, but she hasn't
Okay.
texted me back yet.
No worries. No, look, we can give this out when you come back. That's fine because look, some of these segments, which by the way, if you're listening on a Saturday, if you are watching the full episode, you might have gotten this early. Now, you're not going to have been able to get reservations at Mr. Lester's. I'm told they're booked, but it's okay because there's still time for them to find this out. I love where you went here, Chef. This is absolutely fantastic. Sounds delicious. And for, again, those that don't know, it's the only 5-star restaurant between New Orleans and Houston. Now, Caleb, you mentioned that you cheated on Chef Willie. Hold on, we got to do this right. You cheated on Chef Willie.
I didn't want to say it that way, but I did. Look, at SHOT Show, I like to go out and have a good steak and enjoy my night. And Justin and I went this year, and we went to what was supposed to be a just phenomenal steakhouse. It became highly recommended. We walked in, we ordered appetizers, looked at the menu, ordered steaks. I actually got surf and turf. And you do it better. You just do it better. I was hurt when I saw the bill because it wasn't $5 a pour. I can promise you that. And I did not get what I paid for. I mean, their service was good. The wait staff was amazing. Y'all's wait staff is impeccable. I think that if I asked them for like virgin goat milk, they would bring it to me with y'all. Like I know they would go above and beyond. They always do go above and beyond. And like I was left wanting. I really was. In the city that never sleeps, in Las Vegas, in Sin City and everything else, like it was a sin that they didn't live up to Mr. Lester's. I think that they should try harder.
And this is what, if you are listening to this show, we actually gave away dinner for 2 and a hotel stay during the snowpocalypse here in Louisiana. And I'm telling you, if you have the chance to go. It is an event. You will remember it. It is just that special. It is the only restaurant in Louisiana where you can actually smoke a cigar in the restaurant. If you want decadence, if you want special, if you want memorable, Mr. Lester's is it. Okay, so we got through those. Now we got to talk about Chef, that Heaven Hill. Have you tried that Heaven Hill that you poured and opened here? The rye of the grain to glass?
I have not.
Take a sip. Kathleen, have you had the opportunity to taste it yet?
I did.
What do you think?
It's a little sweet for me.
It's a little sweet. Okay.
I prefer the other one that you had.
Okay, but that's all right.
It's not bad.
So hold on.
I just prefer the other.
You ready to get shocked?
Oh God.
Chef, what's the proof on that Heaven
Oh
Hill?
God.
123.2.
Dang.
Congratulations, Kathleen will now nose hump all of her glasses and she's a proof hound.
Dang.
Yes. You have now discovered that you like high proof whiskey.
Dang.
You just like good high proof whiskey. Can I get a witness? Yes.
You know what's even
shocked.
worse? This is a straight rye.
Yep.
And I don't normally like a rye.
And for a rye to come off sweet like that, like it takes work.
Dang.
This is decadent.
This is special.
Okay, I'm impressed now.
What I really like about this one, I don't like black licorice.
Me neither.
I get a hint. It's what I call the Mr. Coach Klein. If you remember when he was talking in his office when Waterboy first walks in, he says, the quarterback fakes. No, the quarterback thinks about faking. That's where this goes with black licorice. It's like it thinks about black licorice for just a second. It sits on the palate. You get a little of the sweet. You get that deep berry flavor that comes with this. You get that little bit of spice that you get with a rye. But this is why when people say, I don't drink rye or I don't like rye, you got to have a good rye.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference.
So Walker, did you take
Walker didn't try any.
spaz? And he spazzes out. Anyway, so Walker, I'm serious, brother. You got to try some of this.
I think I've had it before.
Well, if you don't remember it, then maybe you should have it again.
I might think about it.
Might think about it. How's that championship belt chain feel over there from Box Drop?
Very nice.
You
Very
sound
nice.
you sound very country club like that. I think I've had it before. Drink the good whiskey.
All right. So we teased you with a conversation on Bill Gates. Now, Bill Gates, on the darkest, deepest reaches of the interwebs, has been linked to all kinds of, I'm trying to think of a good word for this, nefarious stuff. Just bad things. Like Bill Gates saying, and this is on video, please don't believe us, we will control the population through vaccines. Maybe it's not an exact quote, but it's real close. Right? We've heard Bill Gates in 2019 say things like, oh, there's gonna be a pandemic in 2020 we're gonna get hit by. And he's saying it again now with the destruction of USAID and where all that's going. But that's not what I want to touch on. Because what I want to touch on is what I think we on this show, because we've been harping on this for the better part of 5 years. We, get ready to ring the bell, Caleb. We want to see the Epstein list. We want to see who Diddy done Epstein or Epstein done Diddy and all the stuff that they've been Epstein done Diddy and undoing. We want it all. We want to see it. We want to know. And now that they are talking about releasing that Epstein list, Bill Gates is talking about leaving the United States. All right, crew in the TSPL, what are we thinking? Oh, Kathleen, I see you over there. You have that Cheshire cat grin on your face over this one.
I think it's funny that he's getting so nervous about it. And he's apologizing before it's even come out.
Why would he be nervous about it?
I don't know. Why is he apologizing before anything's happened?
Well, wait, is that like saying that only guilty people need a pardon?
I don't know.
I'm with you. Look, I'm not going to say that there are unilateral ways that innocent and guilty people act. But let's talk about the optics. And unless you have Coke bottle thick, Elton John tasteless glasses on, you can absolutely see that the optics here on Bill Gates all of a sudden going, they're going to release the list, I'm leaving, looks bad.
Yes. Well, didn't he make the comment, maybe I shouldn't have spent time with him?
He has actually apparently made the comment that Epstein was blackmailing him over and I don't remember if the words were a sexual encounter or an affair.
An affair.
But it was something of that nature. I'm just wondering if the affair was with someone over the age of 16.
That's probably why he's leaving.
The questions have to be asked. Caleb, you go ahead, Caleb. Take the microphone, unless Chef Willie wanted to chime in. Caleb, you got to turn it towards you, brother.
Well, I can speak into it. Look, if you want to own your mistakes, right? If you want to give your testimony and confess your sins before God, you can do that, right? That's what we're supposed to do as Christians, is confess our sins to God, be absolved of our sins, and move on with our life. These kind of sins, there is a penance to pay.
You have to follow the law of man as well as the law
Correct.
of God on these.
Correct. And you can't say, well, look, if this happens, all the good that I've done is become undone, right? Look, he's done some things in his life. And if some of those things are children, then,
Let's
look,
take a step back from that and say, what if some of these things are illegal? Grossly punishable by chemical castration, illegal.
well, how about just immoral? Because things can
immorals.
be immoral and not illegal.
But you were going down the road of law of man,
Right.
not law of God.
I'm going, yes.
Right.
So, and look, bad people can do good things,
They can
They
repent.
can.
Absolutely.
right? And they can do them before they repent.
True.
But this can be the legacy that he leaves. Because look, if you're a dirt bag, you're a dirt bag, and no amount of penance can change that. And if this man has been sidestepping the law and hurting innocent children and using U.S. aid, WHO, and everyone else,
Any U.S. taxpayer funds,
and
period.
going to these third world countries and harming innocent children while wearing this philanthropist mask, then string him up by the gallows and call it a good day. Like, that's what I say. Because look, at some point in time, we have to call sin, sin, and we have to hold people accountable.
Which is what Walker's doing to us right now, giving us the 1 minute finger. If you are watching on YouTube, X, Facebook, Insta, please click follow, share. It helps the show. It helps you get out the word of your favorite Saturday radio show / podcast, solving the problems of the world one weekly whiskey at a time. It's Implicit Bias Radio. Continuing the Bill Gates conversation on this week's episode of Implicit Bias, I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon, joined in the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast lair by a great motley crew here this week. And no, we don't have Vince Neil and Tommy Lee in here. Thank God. Even though I do like their music. I love the stuff. Guys, if y'all want to like sponsor the show, that'd be fine. But other than that, we don't want you here. In the TSPL, we've got Chef Willie Gaspard. He's the executive chef at Mr. Lester Steakhouse. Food and beverage manager, Cypress Bayou Casino. We've got Caleb Morse, the rustic renegade, who apparently can't hold on to whatever it is he's trying to play with up there. Oh, no, that was Chef Willie. Okay. In the chair like mine, Kathleen, the real deal Terrio, and monitoring the audio board, he is Walker Griffon, the Implicit Bias Pledge. Just know this, Walker, 1 year is coming, which means so is Hell Week. All right. So back into the Bill Gates conversation. Caleb, you said something profound as you were talking about Bill Gates. This is your opportunity to do right. If you want to do right, this is your opportunity to be the hero or go down the villain.
Right.
Here's the biggest problem I have. Jeffrey Epstein never got prosecuted. But there's a list. So wait. Which means that Bill Gates has a choice. And he's talking about leaving the United States as his option publicly. Please don't believe us on this. The other option is to take the deal. Rat out everybody else, right? Not necessarily rat them out, but turn and be the good guy here and say, this was wrong, whatever happened, this affair, you're already divorced, she already got enough money to fund the GDP of a small country, right? We know these things have already happened. So why not be the good guy and say, this was an accident, I didn't mean to do this, right?
Well,
you know
I
what
think-
this means.
I think it'll come out that it wasn't an accident.
That's the point.
It wasn't. It was intentional. And look, the devil will use shame against you. And look, we should feel shame for our sins and our shortcomings.
Shame didn't play a role here.
But no, he
I'm
sought this out. This was intentional and devious.
He's not ashamed of what he did. He's upset because he knows he's been caught. That when you said he has the opportunity, it just set off the light bulb in my brain, and I went, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, so be Sammy the Bull Gravano. Go into witness protection. Bring all these other jerkwads to justice. Be the one who goes and testifies. And instead, Bill Gates is saying, I think I might leave the United States because the Epstein list might come out. Well, is it shame? Really? You've been divorced. It's already been proven that you've had an affair. I mean, everybody knows these things. And guess what? That makes you just like roughly 50 to 60% of the married population in the United States, unfortunately. It's a terrible state of where we are, but that is the truth. Instead, right, he says, I don't want to turn in bad people, which means that it wasn't like he was tricked. It was intentional, which also means it was probably more than once. It was repetitive, and more than likely, now understand, all of this is for entertainment purposes only. This is hypothesis. We're asking questions here, but logical thinking would dictate that even after he knew, if he didn't initially know, he did it again. This is where it gets ugly.
Well, it goes into, the first time he goes to the island, he's like, whoa, this isn't what I signed up for. If you go back, you signed up for it, buddy. You knew what to expect, and you went there willingly. That's what's even worse, is like the number of people that went to this island multiple times, and here we are, it's been, 2 years?
Oh, no, it's been way more than that. Because it's been 2 years since Epstein didn't kill himself.
So it's been like 3.5. And we still don't have anything. Why? Because the people and the reach that this will bring down will shake the foundations of the world that we have today. I think that we're going to see so much debauchery, so much evil, so much wickedness. And we're going to be like, well, I never thought he seems like such a good person. She seems like such a good person. Look, sin is cloaked in gold filigree, and you have to be able to turn your back and walk away from it.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you at all. I'm also really concerned, and that concern is becoming less and less just with the desire for sunlight, the greatest disinfectant that there is, being shown on all the stuff happening in Washington, D.C. over the last few weeks. The concern becomes less and less day after day the more we see. But I still have to wonder if some of this stuff will ever really come out. And that's the really sad part, because we hypothesize a lot of this. There's a lot of this that logical thinkers can know in their heart, because I don't want to say we're looking for it, but we automatically don't trust these people. You think I trust entertainers? No. Do we trust politicians? No. Right? We like some of the policy of Donald J. Trump. I don't know the man well enough to trust him. I just don't. That's why I don't like the potential of them floating the third term, right? I mean, there are some things that I look at and I'm like, the meme coins that are out there, and I'm like, oh, come on. There are some places you just don't go. But that's okay. It's okay to not trust and ask questions. Matter of fact, maybe we should just be asking questions. And that's a really big part of our implicit bias. So, Kathleen, I'm curious, the whole Bill Gates thing, where do you think he went wrong? When do you think he went wrong? Which is my really big question.
I think it's been a while.
Oh, I would agree.
I think, what's it? You just said something. Shame on, or fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on. Oh, no,
fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. There better not be a third time.
Correct. It still blows my mind that he's willing to leave and he's already apologizing. I think this list, like you said, I don't think we're going to get the whole thing. I think we're going to get enough to do enough damage that whoever gets left off is lucky, but I don't think it's going to matter at that point.
Well, and like Caleb said, it will shake the foundation.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we get the whole list.
Do you really think we will, though?
Well, and here's why I don't think we will, but here's why I hope we get the whole list. At this point, it's 2025. I said everything was on the table in 2024. In 2025, as a Catholic, it wouldn't shock me if the Pope was on the list. That's where we are. No, it's true, right? I am not blaspheming the Pope. I'm just saying we are at that point
right,
where no one shocks me. You're not going to shake the foundation of the world here because I don't trust any of them,
Yeah.
no matter who they are. Chef, you got the mic. You want to chime in?
Anyone who's on that list that went more than once and didn't say something, I mean, you shouldn't even be here anymore.
That's the
Like,
point. Didn't say something.
Someone like you should, do your thing.
Yeah, and we've seen some preliminary ideas
Especially if it's with minors. That
of who was on that list.
That's
Yes.
just-
Well,
unfathomable.
so
Right.
I'm going to give you my opinion here. It's not just minors. Well, it is minors, but it goes way beyond just what you think with minors.
That's disgusting.
It is. It is horrific. It is terrible. And that's why nothing would shock me. That is why I look at it and I go, there's too many depictions in ancient artwork. There's too much out there. There's too much pointing to just people who are willing to do bad things. I mean, really bad things to kids. So nothing shocks me. Be prepared for the worst and be surprised when it's not that bad. That's where I live right now. And that, unfortunately, is where I think we have to live today. And the really big question is, and Walker, we're going to put you on camera. How much time do we have left in this segment? That's not the really big question. It's a question I have for you. Can you answer it?
About a minute 30.
Oh, yeah, we don't have time to get into this part of it. But I'm going to tease this. The big question is, why? Why have we not heard all of the details? Why have we not seen mass media coverage of all the little things that we have talked about on this show that's just been released? This is the biggest concept of this show, and this is the biggest media scandal ever. And it's really easy to say it. It is the biggest media scandal ever. Like The Sandlot, like forever. That's how big where we're going to take you in the next segment is. So Walker, take that finger, take your wrist, rotate it all the way around, move the rest of your arm, use that finger and stick it. Because we don't need it, because we're going to take a break anyway. We're going to come back. We're going to bring you more of Hour 2 of Implicit Bias, more weekly whiskey, more solving problems of the world on Implicit Bias Radio. The rabbit holes are deep on this week's episode of Implicit Bias. I am your host, Kevon Bordelon. This is Implicit Bias Radio. Joining us here in the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast lair, we've got the Rustic Renegade himself. He's at the bar with Chef Willie from Mr. Lester's Steakhouse at Cypress Bayou Casino, the only 5-star restaurant between New Orleans and Houston, in the chair like mine, which is sort of a juxtaposition of normal seating situations here on the show. Kathleen, the real deal Terrio, has kicked Caleb out of his normal seat. How did you manage that, Kathleen?
My bad, bro.
Did you just like grab him by the back of the neck and be like, get out?
Oh gosh, no. It was his choice.
Oh, his choice. Okay.
But wait, where's the chair of intoxication?
The chair of intoxication was usually the chair to my right. And the
I know.
good news is the chair of intoxication has kind of gone away. I'm thrilled you brought that up because we
I
used to have
know,
fun
I
with
miss
that.
it. Well, I would always ended up sitting in it. of
Well,
course.
and it's been a while since you've been on the show.
Correct.
And it's been a while since you've been consuming alcohol
Correct.
because of your situation with the newborn. So as we would expect, we need to maybe reinstate the chair of intoxication, Caleb.
Now that I think about it, since I haven't been pouring everyone's whiskey at a round table, we're definitely leaving here more sober.
No doubt. Well,
Did you see that first pour you gave us?
You
all?
and I are leaving
okay,
about the same, but there are others who are,
Yeah.
Then again, we do have the CWAT, who has been good.
Very
What?
He's had some
valid.
Certified Wizard of Tobacco,
Oh.
aka
He felt pretty
Louisiana's
good.
only
He
certified
felt pretty
master
good when we
tobacconist, Rene
recorded.
Girard. Yeah.
He felt pretty good.
Was he drunkle?
I think he was on the cusp, and my buddy Brant, I think, beat him to it.
Oh, you had somebody beat Rene to drunkle?
Oh yeah, when you look at Walker's face, yeah, it was.
Well, okay, Walker, spill the beans. I wasn't here for that
Wait,
show.
when was this?
I haven't
Oh,
had a
the
chance
show.
to listen to it. What happened?
Oh, he was sitting over there in the corner.
He
We go to a
tried
break.
to keep up.
Go to a break. Shoot across. Fill his cup up.
Yeah.
Sit every segment. Boom, 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 boom. Or boom, boom, boom. And
Wait, how was he?
Boom, boom, boom,
boom,
boom.
boom, 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 boom. He was off everywhere, and then
It happens fast.
yeah,
Was he able to make it out of the top secret podcast lair under his own power?
Oh yeah, look, and I talked to him. I was like, "Look, do you need a driver? You need this. Like, we take care of our own.
Okay,
right? We
good. I
want
was
you to-
about to say, I'm glad he didn't drive
don't
home.
drink and drive. Be
We're
responsible.
not doing that. Yeah.
And it was a moment.
That's why if you go to Mr. Lester Steakhouse at Cypress Bayou, stay at the hotel.
Stay right there.
Yes.
It's
The
how far
hotel
is
is
the walk?
fantastic.
The walk's like 35 seconds.
Oh, it's a little longer than that.
Well,
Depends on
I've
how you're
walked.
walking, how much you drink.
I walked behind Grant. It's like 5 minutes.
I finally got to stay. I stayed for the snowpocalypse.
You stayed at the hotel
stayed
for
at
the
the hotel.
snowpocalypse?
I did.
And I heard you
First
guys
time.
had some water issues as well. I mean, it got cold.
Mm-hmm.
It got real cold.
Oh yeah.
So
Record-breaking cold.
yeah. I mean, literally the coldest in the recorded history of Lafayette, Southern Louisiana. And I don't say like not because what they'll do is they'll break records out like coldest record on this date versus coldest record of
missed
this
it.
month.
Like, I regret it. I missed 10 inches of snow. It was -3 at my house. Like,
No, it was 3 at your house. The
Three,
wind
not
chill might have
minus.
been minus
no,
3.
no. My wife posted a picture of our thermostat outside. I have a
Really?
little thermometer. It was -2, -3.
Caleb, you're just upset that you missed 10 inches. So, all right, let's go
Look,
ahead
the
and
only
dive-
time she sees
just
10
about to
inches
say
is
that.
when I
No,
bounce through
don't-
3
don't-
mirrors.
Okay,
Oh,
so
Jesus.
let's go ahead and get past that and let's dive back into what I teased in last segment, which was the greatest media scandal in history. If you are under the age of 30 or 40, you might not have learned about the muckraker era of U.S. journalism. So the muckraker era, yellow journalism, was a thing. The New York Times, the New York Post got into a competition and basically, I don't want to say they were making up stories, but they were looking for nothing but sensationalist headlines. They were looking for all this. That was bad. It was terrible because media was utilizing the public as its pawn. Until we started to get the USAID stories. That was definitely the worst era in journalism, certainly in the history of the United States. What we have now, today, what we know from transparency, and Kathleen, you actually, and we didn't go back to that, so I'm going to start going down this road. You asked, why didn't Trump know?
Oh, yeah.
You asked, why didn't people see this? Well, it's partially because the fourth branch, the fourth estate, wasn't doing its job. Right? No one was saying, hey, these things are going on. Well, don't tell me they didn't know because all this stuff was available. It was out there. But nobody knew where to go research it, where to get it, how to find it. So then you say, how does Trump not know? Because he's leading the government. Well, Trump doesn't know because USAID isn't given specifics about, hey, here's where to spend the money and how to spend it. They are allocated a budget, and USAID spends it, which means all of this cry, this BS, this in the corner, yelling and screaming, we didn't vote for this. You know what? Nobody voted for what you had before. So zip it, zippy long stocking, right? I mean, the reality is it's a bunch of unelected bureaucrats deciding where to spend your money and my money. And you got 5-year-olds in the corner who are so upset about, oh, we found it. But you're not upset about what they were doing with it in the first place? The f is wrong with you?
I want to know what is in the gift bags
Who knows?
that are being sent home with the illegal people that they're deporting.
Who knows? Who cares? And here's why I say who cares, because we're never going to know because the fourth estate is not going to report it. Why? And why is this the biggest media scandal of all time? I'm going to tell you. And this is where we get to that, man, I don't want to do that. I feel guilty about saying we called this. I feel guilty about saying that we were on this train years ago. It's because the media was on the damn payroll. Politico will probably be completely out of business. Why? Because the only people funding Politico was the government telling them what stories to run. Because don't tell me that they were getting tens of millions of dollars from the US government and it came with absolutely no strings. I was born at night, not last night. I worked in the television news media. I know how this works. Politico is on the hook. The New York Times is on the hook. The Associated Press is on the hook. Reuters is on the hook, which means that the international news source is also on the dole. The freaking British Broadcasting Company, owned by the British government, is getting paid from you and me. And if you think they're not being told what stories to tell, I'm sorry that your IQ doesn't hit the level that it needs to hit to connect those dots. But that's the truth. Please don't believe us on this one. And yeah, it ticks me off. Why does it tick me off? Because I used to work in the business full time. It was my only real gig. And I got in the business to tell people the truth and let them make up their own minds, which means that where they are today when they're on the payroll is that they are not telling you the news. They are telling you the propaganda that your government wants them to tell you, or certain segments. Because let's face it, we're seeing that some Republicans are on the hook here. We're not saying that Republicans are completely innocent, because we're now seeing that like Republican national organizations are getting paid as well. They're all on the hook. The only way they continue to make money is if you and I believe that you're wrong and I believe that you're completely wrong and that we have nothing in common. And that's the big secret that they don't want coming out, is that their entire existence depends upon you and I disagreeing. These are the same people who will stand in front of reporters at the exact same time in two different interviews, and one will say something bad about the other will say something bad about the first one, and then 40 minutes later, those two same SOBs are sitting in a restaurant in Washington, D.C., getting a $10,000 meal paid by some freaking lobbyist. That's the big point with all of this scandal. Caleb, I see you nodding over there. You've seen this. You've just seen it overseas where the U.S. goes and hands out dollars to buy favors, correct?
The company that I used to work for, we used to escort people around, and sometimes you would have USAID and others. And when we walk up and are paying $100,000 of U.S. taxpayer money to look at and appraise a stamp collection, we're talking about more than just stamps.
Yep.
So the wanton waste that our government has is for a purpose.
Wait, you mean like Chinese chips, wontons?
Fried wontons.
Yum.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
So like, if you think that we just happen to waste this money and there's no purpose, you're ignorant. There is a purpose. Our government is out of control, but why is it out of control? Where's the money going? What are we buying? That's what it comes down to. And look, the left and the right will tell you we're buying security. We're spending this money in Iraq. We're spending this money in Syria to buy security.
Chef Willie, what'd you say about everybody all over the world? Give them the mic real quick.
They all hate us.
Regardless,
Absolutely.
you can't buy people liking you.
No.
What you can buy are people's indebtedness to you. It's two different things. And as we are wrapping up this segment, I'm actually going to quote my brother, who's just one of those people who, he and books didn't always get along, but he always got it in one way, shape, or form. Street smarts to the nth degree. And he looked at me when I was at a very early age. And his nickname for me was Ace. He said, Ace, always remember this. It's not about how easy you can buy people. It's about how cheaply you can buy people. And now we are seeing that on a governmental scale. Stick around. More Implicit Bias Radio after this. Final segment of Implicit Bias Radio for this week. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. And this last story is one that, man, I almost think we're just going to have too much fun with it here in the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast lair. The crew that's here for the week will get a quick shot of Walker while he's attempting to work, or at least looking like he's working as opposed to sitting on his phone, probably gambling and waving at you like he thinks he's Napoleon Dynamite. Anyway, at the bar, we've got Chef Willie Gaspard of Mr. Lester's Steakhouse at Cypress Bayou Casino. The Rustic Renegade is next to him, Caleb Morse, who is apparently anyway. And then Kathleen, the real deal Terrio, here with me in the chair, much like mine, in the TSPL. Okay, so the one where I dove in, because last segment, I kind of lost a little bit. I kind of lost my religion on the fact that over 6,000 media outlets apparently, or 6,000 members of the media were on the payroll for USAID. I mean, you've got all this stuff where literally we're just creating propaganda everywhere. That's part of it. But you have to wonder, how deep does the propaganda go? And then, when you ask a question, you better be prepared for the answer. Because I'm not even sure that I was prepared for this one. And the answer might be this. In really his first official act, well, maybe the first one he's aware of, I don't know. Joe Biden signs with a Hollywood talent agency.
I was really hoping we'd talk about this.
Okay, so what are your thoughts, Kathleen?
I'm just so confused. What's his talent?
I don't know. Maybe adult films. I mean, who knows?
Gross.
Right? No. Well, look. Go look at his son, and you the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
I know,
right?
but I don't want to imagine him in an adult film.
He's got way more stuff on video than anybody wants to see of him.
Oh my God.
And go read Ashley Biden's diary, which, by the way,
why
we
does he
now
need
know.
this? Why does he need a
Y'all didn't look this up?
No,
Oh my God, you're gonna be so happy.
What?
it was fake. Please tell me it was fake.
No, look, Jeff Dunham is doing a live action show on just Walter. And they've cast Joe Biden as Walter.
Okay, ring the bell. That was
Oh my
really
God,
well
that
played.
was good.
Caleb.
It's 100% BS, but
I know it is, but no, just the
That
fact
was
that you
good.
thought about that was really well played.
I love Jeff.
Really well played.
But really, why does he need a talent agency? Because it's the same one Obama has. Or
Okay.
why does Obama need one?
So this is one where the question is, or the answer to the question is maybe the most frightening logical thing out there. He's an actor.
But is he the actor, or was all his body doubles the actors?
Therein lies the point. Maybe he's just an actor. Maybe he was given a script.
So he's really
And
not like
maybe
falling
he's-
over?
Did you not notice right after he submarine Kamala the Ugandan giant as he was walking out after she lost and somebody said something, he turned around and smirked like, I did this on purpose? I mean, did you not see these things when she would have a big announcement or something and he would call a press conference right then and he would show up to talk to the media? He appeared so incredibly sharp at that point. It was almost like he was doing it on purpose. My question is, and I don't know that we've got the answer here, was Joe Biden or is Joe Biden an actor?
So is he going to like appear in a movie? Like, I don't understand what the talent agency purpose is.
I don't know. Maybe they're going to try and remake like Cocoon, the 25th
Ooh,
millennial. I don't know.
But even think about it this way: like, who do you think gets President Obama all these speaking gigs at $20,000 to $60,000 a day?
He can't speak. I mean, not Obama, but Biden. I mean,
So I'm saying the
But
same thing, right?
But I'd be shocked if it's a Hollywood agent. I'd be really shocked if it's a talent agent.
well, they're
I
going to go
think-
through, and what if?
Do I think he's got an
what
attorney,
is he
a
going to do?
publicist?
I'm
all these
wondering-
I
things?
think
Yeah,
that, yeah.
I'm wondering who else they represent, right?
that's a good call.
Who else
That's
is
a
in
good
the
question.
fold? Because we're looking at this from one point of view. What if it's all a front?
For what?
For what?
Okay, so
What if this is a different organization where maybe retired presidents or public figures go back and discuss things and control things from behind certain doors?
well,
And This
okay.
is me reaching.
What if it's just this? What if it's just this simple? What if it's just, I want to continue to get paid to keep the secrets I know secret? How would I launder that money? by getting paid $1 million to show up for 20, 30 minutes, read off a teleprompter that I didn't write, and leave. I mean, look at the speaking gigs and what ex-presidents and ex-secretaries of state and all these people get paid to show up and talk for 10, 15, 20 minutes. It's insane. This might be the answer to that. I mean, I don't know, right? Maybe they want to make like so you had grumpy old men, you had grumpier old men. Maybe now they want to make grumpier old vegetables. I don't know. That might be what they want, right? Chef?
The highest paid actors in the world.
Chef, are we talking crispy vegetables or are we talking sauteed to soft vegetable?
Scrambled dollar egg.
But this, like literally, I saw this and I went, are you kidding me? Signing with a Hollywood agent. That's the biggest thing. This is a talent agency that typically houses actors, musicians, models. And I mean, what's he going to model?
He
Depends.
can't do any of that. He can't do any of that.
I mean, no. Unless he's a really good actor.
I just can't see that.
I know it's a stretch. But the crazy part is this to me is where the most logical answer, the simplest answer might be the most obvious and the most shocking all at the same time.
Well, I just went to their to CAA's homepage, right?
Yep.
And I think obvious is a great word you use because the first thing it says is we create opportunity.
Boy, that's not obvious. We create opportunity. What opportunities does Joe need? I mean, seriously, the man has been working in federal government basically his entire adult life. I mean, after he graduated top of his class with 3 majors, right? Top of his law degree, full scholarship. Oh, I'm sorry. All of those were lies. Joe said that, and Sam Donaldson, please don't believe us. Sam Donaldson of ABC News disproved that. You can go find it. But, I mean, seriously, the guy has been a public servant for a while. Oh, what, Caleb? You apparently got
so
something
much
here.
better
Because you are like, you're giddy over there.
I just go to their page and I was like, ooh, what do they do? Live events, speakers. The first featured speaker, President Joe Biden, 46th President of the United States. View profile. Let's click that. Like, inquire about Joseph R. Biden. Look at this. Check availability. I wonder if it has a price. What's his price?
Oh, I would love to know that. I'm sure that's not on the site.
No, it's not.
I'm sure it's, but you know what, Caleb, you know what I can guarantee you it's not? 10% for the big guy. I guarantee you that the price is not 10% for the big guy. The agent here gets 10%. If they get that. And that's the big thing here. As Walker's probably just watching us go, 20, 30 minutes long on this final segment because he's sitting there gambling on his phone.
No.
Oh, Walker. Texting.
I was
Okay.
texting someone,
You were texting someone. Okay.
and we still have a little bit more time left.
That's fine.
Here's something fun. I'm reading his bio, right?
Yeah.
At age 29, President Biden became the youngest Americans ever elected to one of the youngest ever elected to the Senate. It goes 29, 36, vice president. How old was he when he was elected to vice president?
Oh, he was not 36 years old.
Yeah, so
What happened between 36 and 80?
Yeah, like there's just a gap. It literally just next paragraph.
So they're not talking about him being elected to the U.S. Senate because he was a senator for
Well, it says he
years.
was a senator at 29.
At 29.
It said he did
And now he gives
a
us
few
the 1 minute
things to
thing.
36 and then vice president. Like, where's the rest of his tenure?
Walker. Walker. Are you
Come on.
serious?
He was running the island.
Are Ring the bell for Chef Willie, and that's a great way to run us out. Implicit Bias Radio. If you missed any of the show and you want to hear what we had to talk about, find us anywhere you find podcasts. Find us on Instagram, X, YouTube, Facebook. We're on all of them. Please subscribe, like. If you see Walker, please still like us because we know that Napoleon Dynamite went out a decade ago. Or find us next week when we see you in 7 on Implicit Bias Radio. Thanks and have a great week.